Welcome to Learn More. In the previous lesson, we learned about human development. We learned about the meaning of development, the characteristics of development. So we explained how humans develop from stages, and I hope we are conversant and we understood what we learned in the last lesson. Today we'll be looking at psychological method of data collection. Psychological method of data collection. So the objective of this lesson is, by the end of this lesson, the learners should be able to define data, give the definition of data collection, state the different ways of data collection, and be able to list the instruments used in data collection. So at the end of this lesson, you as the learner, you should be able to define data, you should be able to give the definition of data collection, explain what data collection is. You should be able to state the different ways in which we can generate data, we can collect data, and you should be able to list some instruments that are used in data collection. So let's go into the topic proper: psychological method of data collection. So I can ask this question: what is data? What is data? Data are raw facts that have not been processed. I would want you to get this definition very well, so that you can understand what we are trying to say in this lesson. Data, they are raw facts that have not been processed. Data includes alphabets, numbers, special characters, your comma, your full stop, your question mark, etc. So it could be numbers, it could be alphabet, it could be special characters, it could be your punctuation marks. When you gather these together, they are all called data. It's just that we have some kinds of data that may be numeric data, alphanumeric data, and so on. But in psychology, data are information generated from the research carried out on a situation. So I gave you the general definition of data, but now we are looking at data in psychology. So data in psychology refers to information generated from the research carried out on a situation. So if we carry out a research on, let's say, on the effect of COVID-19 to tertiary institution students, and we are using one tertiary institution in Nigeria, let's say we are using Unilag as a case study. So the data we generate, the results we generate, the feedback the student give back to us, that is what we call data. So in psychology, data, they are information generated from a research. So I gave you an example that if we are carrying out a research of the effect of COVID-19 to tertiary institution students, and we want to base our study, like we want to carry out that research, like we are bringing in the case study of Unilag, that's University of Lagos. So if we carry out that research and we call, maybe we pick 100 students at random from different faculties, and we administer a test to them, try to understand how they feel, how they cope, and what are the effects of this COVID-19 to them, and they are giving us their response. The response they give back to us is what we call data. So the whole process, going out, giving them the test or the questionnaire or whatever, then getting back the questionnaire or whatever instruments we used, that is all, the process is all called data collection. So I've explained what data is. Let's go to data collection. What is data collection? Data collection is the process of collecting data from situations or cases by psychologists. Now I gave you an example of where we gather data from UNILAG students, but now it's quite different because it is the psychologists that are now carrying out this data collection. Not just any research now, but the psychologist is carrying out the data collection. You know, we are studying psychology, so data collection is the process of collecting data from situations or cases by psychologists. So psychologists can observe a person and understand what's going wrong with the person, collecting data from the information he or she has gotten from that individual, or from that case, or from that situation. There are different methods by which we use for data collection in psychology. So there are different methods of collecting data in psychology. The whole process of collecting data and information is called instrumentation. So the process of getting the data, collecting the data, the whole process is called instrumentation. Getting out the test or whatever, maybe the questionnaire you want to use, then administering the questionnaire to your respondent and getting back the feedback from the questionnaire. The whole process is called instrumentation. Now it's not just in psychology that we have data collection. When you are writing your final year research in your tertiary institution, you also come across data collection. You have to carry out data. You have to gather data. In your chapter 4, you have to write about your chapter 4, how you gather your data, how you analyze your data, and so on. So this one is particularly for psychology, but you can direct the knowledge you have from this study now to whatever research you are trying to carry out, and it's very useful there. So instrumentation comprises of the basic steps, which include: number 1, selection of the instrument to be used. So you have to select the instruments that you have to use. So we have so many instruments for data collection in psychology. We have so many instruments, not just in psychology, but generally we have so many instruments used for data collection. We can use questionnaire, we can use interview, we can use observation, we could also use case study. So we have so many instruments that are used for data collection. So it depends on the instrument you want to use, and also depend on the kind of research you are carrying out. So the kind of research you are carrying out will determine the type of instrument you would want to use for the data collection. So I said that instrumentation comprises of 3 basic steps, and I gave you number 1 step as selection of the instrument to be used. That is the instrument to be used in collecting data. That's the first thing. You need to select the instrument you want to use to gather the data. Then number 2, you have preparation or design of the instrument. You have to prepare the instrument, you have to design the instrument so that the items on the instrument would correspond to your research question and will correspond to the research you are carrying out, so that when they give answers to the questions on the instrument, it could be answering your research question. It could be giving you information about the research you are carrying out. So preparation or the design of the instrument is a very, very vital part in data collection. Then number 3 is administration of the instrument. So when you are done selecting the kind of instrument you want to use, when you are done preparing or designing the instrument you want to use, then the next stage is what you have to administer those instruments to the people, that the respondent. So in psychology you also do this. You select the instrument you want to use, you prepare or design your instrument, then you administer that instrument to that case study, or to the situation, to the case, or to the individual that have that challenge. So like I said before, the knowledge of this will give you a brief understanding of how you can go around in writing your research project. So let's look at some instruments that can be used for data collection. I said before, we have so many instruments that can be used for data collection, but let's look at some of these instruments that can be used for data collection. Number one, we have questionnaire. We have interview, we have observation. So number one is questionnaire, number two is interview, number three is observation, number four is case study, then number five is clinical method, we have introspect method, we have testing, we have experimental method. So I've given you some instruments that can be used in data collection. Is it that you are using questionnaire, you are using interview, you are using observation, you are using case study, you are using your introspect method, tests, clinical method, or experimental method. So in this topic, the instrument of data collection, it will be divided into sections. It will be divided into sections so that we can explain the instruments one after the other, so you understand the instrument and you know the kind of instrument you can use for data collection. So in this lesson, we will be learning about questionnaire as an instrument for data collection. We'll just learn about questionnaire now as an instrument for data collection. So in the next lesson, we'll learn about some other instruments. So but for now, that's in this lesson, we'll be learning about questionnaire as an instrument for data collection. So let's look at the definition of questionnaire. A questionnaire is an instrument for data collection. It is a document in printed form with questions, opinion statements which are to be answered by the respondent. So I'm trying to say that a questionnaire, it's an instrument for data collection. Now a questionnaire is like it's a list of questions. It's a document. First of all, it's a document that contains questions. So a questionnaire could contain question with opinion, like maybe objective question that you have true or false. You have true or false question. You also have where you can rate your ranking, very agreed, strongly agreed, disagreed, and so on. So, and a questionnaire contains questions that are related to the research you are carrying out. A questionnaire contains questions related to the research you are carrying out. Now, you give that questionnaire to the respondent. You give it to the respondent. Now, when the respondent answers those questions, you get your questionnaire back, and with that information that the respondent has given, you can now get your information there. You can get more information about the research from that information. So the answers from the respondent are used to analyze reports on the subject of the research or study. That is in questionnaire. So the respondent, now I've talked about respondent, I've said respondent over and over again. Let me give you the definition of respondent, or let me give you the meaning of respondent. Respondent are those the questionnaires are meant for. Those people the questionnaires are meant for, and those people that the questionnaires are distributed to in order to collect information from them. So like I said before, that we want to carry out a research of the effect of COVID-19 to tertiary institution students, and I said that we'll be using UNILAG as a case study. So now, if we are using questionnaire, I will have to write out some questions that are relating to this pandemic or this COVID-19. Then I will administer that questionnaire to some students in UNILAG. So when they answer that questionnaire, when they fill the questionnaire, when they answer the questionnaire, they give it back to me. Now the information that I get from that questionnaire, it will be analyzed to get my report for that study or for that research. So that is what questionnaire is all about. So let's look at types of questionnaires. We have structured questionnaire, we have unstructured questionnaire. So number one, we have structured questionnaire. We also have unstructured questionnaire. That's number two. So let's look at the meaning of structured questionnaire. Please, if on the long run of you getting this lesson and you have some questions, please do good to send your questions to us so we can know how we can assist you in getting the feedback of your questions. So it's a joy that you understand the lesson and you are better after watching the lesson. So let's look at structured questionnaire. Structured questionnaire is a document that consists of set of standardized questions with a fixed scheme which specifies the exact wording and order of the questions for data collection. Structured questionnaire most times comes with objective question or questions of which the answers are already predicted for the respondent to choose. So a structured questionnaire is a kind of questionnaire that comes with like objective question. Now, I don't know if you've come across questionnaires before, maybe people in your institution trying to write their research project, coming to you to assist them fill their questionnaire. Now, if you look at those questionnaires, you'll find out that some of them come with objective question where you have strongly agree, agreed, strongly disagree, and disagreed. So they have already predicted the answer to the questions to you. It just left for you to tick the one you feel, your opinion about that question. It's either you tick A, that's agreed, you tick SA, that is strongly agreed, you tick D, that is disagreed, and SD, strongly disagree. So they have already predicted the answers to you, and the questions are coming in objective question. Some of them can come on other form, but structured questionnaire majorly comes with objective questions or predicted answers to the question. Yeah, all you have to do is pick the opinion that suits your response. So that is for structured questionnaire. Now, unstructured questionnaire. An unstructured questionnaire is an instrument or guide used by an interviewer to ask questions on a particular topic or case. This kind of questionnaire do not have predicted answers. So unstructured questionnaire is different from structured questionnaire. For unstructured questionnaire, it does not have predicted answers, so you have to do your answering yourself. So let's look at the conditions for using questionnaire. So there are some conditions whereby you can use questionnaire. You can use questionnaire in carrying out your research. There are some conditions that you can use questionnaire as an instrument for data collection when you are carrying out your research in psychology. So some of the conditions are: number one, questionnaire are used when the respondents are in large number. So as a psychologist, before you use questionnaire, the respondent must be in large number. They should be in large number, that you can easily go to them one by one to get direct information from them. So that is when you use questionnaire. But when you know that they are very little, and you can use other instruments of data collection. Then number two, questionnaires are used for respondents who are learned. They are lettered. They can read and they can write. You cannot administer questionnaire to somebody that don't even know how to read or write. You can't administer questionnaire to someone that don't even understand what you are trying to say with your write-up. So the person must be learned, the person must be able to read, the person must be able to write. So those are the categories or conditions for using questionnaire as an instrument for data collection. Then we also have number three, questionnaires are used for distance respondents. It can be mailed to them. Let's say as a psychologist you have distant respondents that are not reachable to you. They are not close to you. Maybe they are very far, maybe out of the country, or somehow they are far from you. So you can mail the questionnaire to them so they fill it and get it back to you, and you get your job done. So in summary, we have learned the meaning of data, we have looked at the meaning of data collection, and we've also looked at the different ways of data collection. I listed some ways of data collection and instruments used in data collection. We also looked at questionnaire, we looked at types of questionnaire and condition for using questionnaire. So like I said before, if you don't understand some of these things clearly, okay, you could also go over the video again. When you go over the video again, you may get it clearly. But if not, do send us a mail. So I said in the next lesson we'll be learning about other methods of data collection, and we'll be looking at interview and observation. We'll be looking at interview and observation. See you in the next lesson.